faith stories,
My now wife Chelsea was like, "Hey, you're coming to church with me on Sunday," and I was like, "All right, I've been looking at the Bible. Let's do this."
fishing memories.
When I first started, I was just fish, focus on the fish. And I see the kid catch a fish, I'm like, good job, perfect, awesome. And then he goes up there and I'm like, we're catching slot snook. And this kid's up here going, oh, the breeze. I'm like, this is exactly what it's about.
Meaningful conversations.
You have to stay in the Word. You have to have a good support system. You have to know what the end goal is. You have to know who God is.
Positivity. This is the Faith and Fishing Podcast. Your hosts, Cam Steele.
If your identity is you're an angler, whenever you're not doing well in the water, that's whenever you can't be content.
And Robert Randolph.
And his timing is perfect. We might not always agree with it, and we might not always understand it at the moment.
Bring you interviews with some amazing guests from the fishing community and discuss all things to do with fishing and their faith. Welcome to the family.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Faith and Fishing Podcast. I'm Cam, and you are not going to be hearing, hey, and I'm Robert right behind that this episode. He is not going to be able to hang out with us tonight. He is still trying to manage that crazy work schedule of his, so he is not going to be able to have this fun with us this time. But we've got a fantastic episode. We are going to be having a lot of fun. I don't really have a whole lot of housekeeping or announcements or anything like that to start us off. So we are going to thank a couple sponsors, and then we're going to dive into it. Mr. B Lure Company has every wired or skirted bait you could ask for, and they're made right here in the U.S. with high-quality components like Gamakatsu and owner hooks, and hand-tied skirts in more colors than you can fit in your tackle box, including the Battle Shad color, which sends 30% of the proceeds to the Wounded Warrior Project. Check out their line of classics like Arctic jigs, swim jigs, and spinner baits, and new favorites like underspins, underswims, and some of the most unique bladed jigs on the market. Head on over to MrBLureCompany.com, that's MRBLureCompany.com, and use promo code faithnfishn, just like our Instagram handle, for 15% off your first purchase.
Get Outdoors Pedal and Paddle is one of the largest canoe, kayak, and cycling retailers in the Southeast, with a huge selection of kayaks, canoes, bikes, and all the accessories needed to experience paddling and cycling comfortably and safely. Get Outdoors helps to expand and educate the paddling community through their free demos held on local lakes in the Greensboro, North Carolina area, and through in-store clinics and on the water courses and demos, and will even get your new boat rigged up for kayak fishing for you. Stop by the shop in Greensboro, North Carolina, or visit them online at shopgetoutdoors.com to be wowed by their selection.
All right, so a few months back, Robert and I did an episode called Start Bench Cut, and it was quite a hit. You guys seemed to love it, and I wanted to continue that going and start to invite people on, and so to enjoy this with us. And so for our first guest to venture into this, I brought on the guy who I kind of modeled it after, because he's got the overrated, underrated on his show. I was like, I want to do something to have that kind of fun with my guests at some point. Whenever, we've had them on, they've shared their face stories, they've shared, they've done some sort of topical episode or something. We just want to get together, have fun. So we are joined again by Mr. Alex Rudd. Welcome back to the show, man.
Thank you, man.
So we were talking a little bit about it before we got started, but just kind of the premise of Start Bench Cut. I'm going to give you three topics, or not three topics, but three things in a category, and we are going to rank them start, bench, cut. So you tell me which ones you're starting, which ones you're benching, which ones you're getting rid of. I'm going to do the same thing. I have already let my wife know that we are going to be diving down some rabbit holes tonight, so she is not to wait up on me.
Right.
And I wanted to go ahead and get a quick intro out of the way instead of go through any kind of announcements or sharing stories or anything in the beginning. Just dive right into it. But I will say I catered these as best as I could to you, and you'll see that in a few of them.
Okay.
And
I like
then and then I whenever I play start bench cut, I don't make it easy. These are not meant to be easy.
Okay.
So let's get things started. Right out the gate, we're gonna just dive into it.
Okay.
Cryptids.
Oh, let's do it. All right. Heck yeah.
I know you are a fellow cryptid lover, so
Yes.
yeah, we are going to dive into it. So start bench cut. The Mongolian deathworm, Nessie, and Mothman.
Oh man. All right. I'm gonna cut Nessie.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because like I feel like we've kind of like fleshed that one out pretty good. Like, you know, I mean, like, is there really a Loch Ness monster? Probably not. Like we've kind of they've really kind of fleshed that one out. Is it fun? Absolutely. Is it like the one that got us probably all into cryptids next to Bigfoot? Absolutely. But I mean, for what it is, we're gonna cut it. The Mongolian death worm, I'm gonna have to bench it. And the reason I say that is because I really do want to start the Mothman. Like we'll get into the Mothman here in just a minute. That's just the whole thing. But we're gonna bench the Mongolian deathworm because one of my favorite shows growing up, and still to this day is one of my favorite shows, was the Expedition Unknown with Josh. Forgot his last name, but his
I
name
can't
was
remember his name, but I know exactly what show you're talking about.
Yes. And they did an episode on the Mongolian deathworm, and like that one stood out to me for some reason. So it's like near dear to my heart just because it was a fun episode that stood out to me. It's like one I watched more than once, and so I want to bench it. But I gotta start Mothman, dude. Mothman is wild. It is fun. It is probably one of my favorite cryptids of all time. Like I love like anything about the Mothman. I'm always on it because legitimately, whenever sightings of the Mothman pop up, there's always something bad that happens. And it's like, I go down the rabbit hole deep with that one because like, I just think, what is it? Is it a demon? Is it some kind of dark entity? Like, what is Mothman? You know what I mean? And then two, there are some of the greatest memes out there of Mothman that just, I love them. It's there's one, it's just like, I forgot what it was. It's like, it's YMCA, but instead it's Mothman. It's like Mothman, and it's like everything's dark, and they switch on the lights, and Mothman's just standing there, and it's Mothman. That's like one of my favorite things ever. So, yeah, Mothman. I'm gonna have to start Mothman because it's Mothman,
For sure. So, whenever I was on, whenever Robert and I were on Field Quiver Outdoors podcast, we were asked what cryptid we were most intrigued by.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was Mothman. I mean, so I have always been a huge fan of cryptids, and Mothman has just always been at the top of the list of like, there's something different about it because all the other ones, there's some sort of animal or something that you can point to and be like, this is what it was based off of, or this is what they think it could be, or something like that. And with Mothman, it's like there's something to it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's scary.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah. That's the thing, dude. It's like it's one of the few, like, because I love cryptids, but for the most part, like you're right. You can point to about anything in nature and go, well, that's probably what this is. You know what I mean? Or this is where they got that story, whatever. But dude, Mothman is one of those things. Like if you look up the history of like Point Pleasant and Mothman and where that all originated from, dude, that is some wild, like that is a rabbit hole and a half to go down. And like it's one of my favorite mysteries. There's a show on now called Unexplained Mysteries. It's on Netflix. It's like a series. And they only put out like 2 or 3 episodes at a time. But every time they put out episodes, I'm watching them. And I watched one with my wife, Bethany. and we watched the Mothman one, and like we got done with that one, and she was like, I just don't even understand. I'm like, I know Mothman's crazy. And she was like, after that, she's like, Mothman's the deal. And I'm like, I told you, Mothman is the deal. That's like the cryptid. If you're gonna be into one, that and cattle mutilations. Those are like the two that I'm like, what is this? This ain't good. Like this is something not fun about this at all. But some also is just like you're so intrigued by it. Like you can't look away. It's like a car wreck. You just gotta see. You gotta look.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, Mothman got started as well, for all the same reasons as you. And then, so I was going to go your route whenever I first thought of this question.
Yeah.
But I ended up benching Nessie because one, it is the classic cryptid. But I don't know if you're familiar with the cryptid factor.
Okay. Yeah.
The podcast with Reese Darby
Yeah.
and Dan Schreiber.
Yeah.
But they're like producer and technician and stuff. That his name is Buttons, and they always just rag on him the whole show. And he's hilarious and everything. But he's actually he's a whiz whenever it comes to all things computers. Well, he got a hold of some pictures and put them to put them in order based off of their timeline, and like put them like on a map kind of, or he kind of put them as best into a video as he could. And it got picked up by another show. It was the kind of like these other shows that they've done. And and they went and tried to prove or disprove what those bubbles were. So what it was is it was pictures of bubbles, and everyone was like, "Oh, those are diving bubbles, 100%." They were like, "Well, we never saw a dive boat, and everything. We were watching for a long time. We never saw a dive boat." And so they went to the same spot, had the camera in the same spot, and had the diver go out and blow bubbles, and it was like, that is not the same thing. So just that kind of like resurgence kind of thing. And of course it happens right around the the anniversary of everything. So like,
well, dude, and like the thing with water, so like big bodies of water, oceans, Great Lakes, like I think we can all admit at this point that there are things in the ocean that we have still not seen. And I'm talking big things in the ocean that we've still not seen. Like it wasn't even like 15 years ago. They're like, there's no such thing as a giant squid. Now there's like 35-foot squids that have washed up on the beach. And like you've got sperm whales that come up and they have suction cut marks on the side of their body that are the size of dinner plates. And you're like, oh, so we were wrong about that. And like, dude, there's no telling what's out there, what's swimming around that we don't see. Because like they'll tag orcas and then they just like disappear, never to be seen again. They have no idea where they went, where they go. I mean, and dude, if you can lose an orca, you can lose anything out there. You know what I mean? So yeah, dude, the whole thing with water, like I have to agree. The water is one of those things. It's just like, it's truly the deepest mystery probably on earth, to be like, no pun intended. It's the deepest mystery on earth.
And I will say, benching or cutting the Mongolian deathworm hurt.
Yeah,
but I had to give Nessie her due.
That's right. I like it.
But I couldn't bring you on and leave hominids out. So hominid cryptids get their own category. So we are going to do. There you go. Yes, sir. We're going to do Bigfoot slash Sasquatch, obviously, Yeti, and the Yowie.
Okay. So I'm going to cut the Yowie. And the only reason I say that is because Australia's big, but it's not that big. And it's waterlocked. So if that thing was there, they'd probably find it. I mean, and they got enough weird crap down there. And they don't need a 9-foot tall Bigfoot. They got kangaroos. They got all kinds of weird things down there. They got every dangerous snake on planet Earth. They don't need another one. Okay.
There's only so many places for a 9-foot for a 9-foot being to hide in the desert too.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, when you've got, what is it? They've got like 8 of the 10 most deadliest snakes in the world, 10 of the 10 deadliest spiders in the world, box jellyfish and great whites. The last thing that they need on their list of things to worry about down there is something to rip your arms off and beat you to death with them. Okay. So hopefully we can just cut that one, period, for everybody's sake. Hopefully that really does not exist. I am going to bench the Yeti. And I bench the Yeti because we have taken the Yeti and turned it into a cooler brand that makes overpriced cups and coolers. Even though I do have a Yeti box sitting right here in the room with me. Yeah, there it is. I mean, they're overpriced. They're good stuff, really good stuff. Not going to knock them because they do make some of the best stuff and they got a really good warranty. But the Yeti is one of those things like, I think it could be real. I definitely think that there's probably something to it. But again, super harsh environment, essentially lives in a desert. It's one of those, like, you want it to be real, but I just don't know. Now, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, we're going to start that one. And the reason I say this is because I truly believe that there is enough untouched land in Northwest North America. Like, when you think about British Columbia, dude, like, that is I don't think people can comprehend how much open land is in British Columbia, Canada. And so, like, that northwest part of the United States up into British Columbia, all the way into Alaska. I mean, you're talking about there are places that humans have literally never put their foot there before. And one thing that I always go back to with the Bigfoot that, like, gives me hope that it's out there is I watched a documentary one time about orangutans. And these orangutans were extremely intelligent, and they did not want to have their picture taken. And it took this set of photographers, knowing that these orangutans are a real animal living in this jungle, going and looking for them. It took them like 5 years to get one picture of this one orangutan. And dude, like, I show it to people and people are like, oh, that's Bigfoot, that's AI. But this is like a real photo of an orangutan that took like 5 years to get. And these orangutans were like burying their dead and like sweeping their footprints away with tree limbs and like swimming through the water so they couldn't be tracked via their footprints. I mean, these animals were hyperly intelligent living in the middle of the jungle. Now take that and extrapolate it out to literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of acres of untouched forest in deep British Columbia. These animals have everything they need to survive, and they're intelligent enough to never be seen. And I think I want to have hope that it's real. So I'm going to start the Bigfoot, and I'm going to look for this picture while you're talking because I want to show it to you. It's crazy.
Awesome. So I too am starting Bigfoot because Bigfoot is the quintessential cryptid. Whenever I said we are going to have cryptids, everyone assumed Bigfoot was going to be on that first list.
Oh yeah.
Whenever you think cryptids, you think Bigfoot, and Bigfoot is also in all of the world, probably, like you said, the most likely of the ones that have not been.
So here it is. Look at this, bro. What does that look like? What does that look like?
Oh man, there's Sasquatch.
I mean, that is a real animal. That has not been doctored. That is not AI. That is a real animal that we know that exists. And I mean, like, dude, that's Bigfoot.
For sure.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Now, I will say that I don't think that Bigfoot is as big as we make him out to be and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a 10-foot monkey or ape, like great ape, running around. But there has at least at some point been something like that.
Giant ape running around. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, is they're in the fossil record. We have Gigantopithecus, which were in North America at one point. They crossed the barren land bridge, and they were here. And so they were here. They were a real creature. I think that's one thing people don't understand either. I think they think like Bigfoot is not real. It has never been real. No, what we would consider a Bigfoot and something that Native Americans may have interacted with is a Gigantopithecus. And so that blows my mind to think about that too. But that's neither here nor there. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure. And so, but like, there's also the thing with Bigfoot is there's so many like versions depending on where you are. You've got like skunk ape.
Mhm.
You've got there's the one in the Appalachians. There's the one in the Rockies. There's the one up in the like northwest area that you're talking about. Like it's so spread out, and there's so many different kinds of stories. I know I can't remember what podcast it was on. I can't remember if it was on yours or Bass and Brews or what, but the one that you told about, I think it was your dad out in the middle of the swamp.
Yep. It not in the swamp.
It gave me chills.
That was on Norris Lake here in Tennessee, fishing at night. Yeah, dude. And my dad, like, he is just he was not a dude. He was not a dude to like make stuff up. And I mean, even that, dude, I watched him get cold chills while he was telling me that story. Like, it's wild, bro. And did you ever hear me tell you about the connection to that I found years and years later after he told me that story with the Bigfoot podcast thing?
Yes.
Yes.
So that was on that same interview you were talking about. I want to say it was Bass and Brews, but
yeah,
because y'all did a episode like pretty much devoted to Bigfoot at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Anytime like you're hearing a story and they talk about all the sounds in the forest stop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh God.
Yeah. This is where I die. Like, please don't rip my arms off my body and beat me to death with them. Like, yeah, no, dude. Yeah, it's crazy.
So I am benching Yowie.
Okay.
And here's why. So all of the stuff that you said was absolutely right.
Yeah.
The only thing that I feel like you left out was the spiritual side of the Yowie with the Aborigines.
Ooh, okay, yeah, I can dig on that. Yeah.
So whenever you start like the like Australian Bushmen, like they kind of have Bigfoot type stories, but whenever you start talking to the Aborigines, they have it's a spiritual entity.
Yeah.
And so that gives it a whole new level of I've got to keep this one around. Yeti is a abominable snowman.
Yeah.
It's a white Bigfoot that lives in a cave where there's nothing to eat.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Yowie I'm keeping around for the spiritual aspect of it.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. So let's do fishing beards. Present company excluded. So I've got Belat, bearded dad fishing, and bearded paddler.
Okay. Okay. They all have good beards.
They do.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I guess we'll have to cut bearded paddler. His is a little thin. His a little thin. Might need to shape it up a little bit. Put a little bit of beard oil in it. Get that thing going the right direction. This is gonna be hard not to just like trash somebody's beard. Bearded dad, I actually met him just a couple weeks ago down at the Knucklehead thing. I'm gonna have to bench him. He's got a good big beard. He's got a big beard. Like, he's got a lot of beard. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a lot of beard that I feel like if he tamed it in a little bit, got a little bit of trimming done to it, it'd look real, real good. And then I think we're gonna start Brian Latimer because he has a good thick. I mean, he's a black man. A black man's beard is like some of the most epic beard that you'll ever see. I've always like said that, you know what I mean? And like, I love his beard. Like, and so it's a good beard. And so I'm gonna start his beard. That's kind of, I guess where I'm at. I mean, you could say the same thing about my beard. I mean, my poor beard right now, it needs a little bit of a trim, needs some beard oil in it for sure, and a good combing, but here we are. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So, for me, I'm starting Belat too. Just because, I mean, he's got those clean lines, and that, like, it's an impressive beard, and it's a clean, very well shapen beard. I am actually going to bench bearded paddler because I have always liked the shape, like that shape of beard. He's got that kind of like wizard beard shape to it.
Wizard beard. I like it. I like it. Yeah, no, I dig it. Wizard beard. That's pretty good. That's funny.
So, like I said, these are meant to be difficult. So whenever I cut bearded dad fishing, it's not because he doesn't have a good beard. It's because like he just got edged out a little bit. Like
yeah.
All right, so let's talk fishing pics.
Okay.
So the pictures that people have of fishing. So I've got the upshot. So like you're trying to avoid showing the background because you're practicing for a tournament. So it's like your chin and the
sky.
fish in the sky. I've got the live well shot. So you're holding all of your fish up at the end of the day.
Okay.
Out of the live well, and then the long arm.
Long arm. Okay.
So this one, to me, I'll say to me, this one was difficult for the opposite reason. I'm like, I have to start one of these things.
Yeah. No kidding. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Hot take. I'm going to start the long arm because there's nothing better than taking a 3-pounder and making it look like a 5-pounder and then making everybody think you're on something that you're not. I'm the master of that. I will tell you that. I'm a sandbagger, like, and I love to do it. And so like I'll always take some crazy picture during practice on the GoPro or something like that and be like holding it out and make it look giant and make it look way bigger than it actually is. Cause then I'll post it and everybody's like, oh my gosh. I'll be like, yeah, it was like a 22-incher and just walk away mysterious, like, you know what I mean? And everybody's like, oh my God. And so I'm gonna start the long arm just because I love to jack with people and I love to sandbag and I love to just be that guy. I'm gonna cut the live well pick. I think that's useless. Like I think like putting fish in a live well, we're way past that at this point. Like there should be no reason that we're putting 5 giant fish into a live well and running them around and abusing them like we do. Now we could go down a deep dark rabbit hole with this about the biology of it all and the conservation aspects of it all. I've done that on my podcast. So if anybody wants to go listen to it, go listen to it over there because we went down those rabbit holes. But I just think in like 2024, with everything that we know about how hard it is on a fish when we put them in a live well, that putting them in a live well and then just to take a picture of them is just like, it's a loser move. So don't do that. So we're going to cut that one because we don't want anybody to do that anymore. And then we're going to bench the sky shot. And we're going to bench the sky shot it because just like the long arm, it's a great sandbagging tool. And so like you got to make those people nervous. You got to make everybody nervous the night before the tournament. You know, you post that big one, get that thing real close to your head and get that camera up there. It makes that thing's head look like it's as big as your head. And people are thinking, oh my gosh, Alex has got a 10-pounder and like he's on the big ones and we're going to have to go beat him. And so if it's all about mental games, buddy. I've learned with tournaments, if you can break them mentally, you can beat them. You got to break them mentally first and then you can beat them. But yeah, no, all jokes aside, like I think that, I think the upshot, it's like the old man shot too. You know, it's like people in their like, it's like people in their 50s and their 60s, like they don't know how to take a selfie. And I feel like every time I see one of those, that's what it's like. It's like some dude who's just a little bit older and he can't take a selfie. And that's what I feel like the upshot is. So there you go.
That's awesome. Yeah. I will say for those of you who do the sky shot or the upshot, make sure your nose is clean first.
That's right.
Please.
No bats in the cave. No bats in the cave.
But yeah, so my list was the exact same as yours.
Yeah.
So I too enjoy the long arm. Don't post it on Facebook and be like, I caught a 10-pounder. It's like, yeah, your elbow's locked. It's not a 10-pounder. But yeah, it's fun and it's a good shot. And then the sky shot annoys me a lot, but nowhere near as much as the live well shot. The live well shot, I agree with you. It's stupid. Carrying fish in your live well around, especially if you're not in a tournament. Yep. If you're not in a tournament, why in the world? Like if you're taking them home, all right,
fine. Yeah, eat them. That's cool.
Take them home.
Yeah.
But if you're doing that so that you can get a cool picture for your like what's the
14
word?
followers. Come
Yeah.
on, because that dude that does it always got about 14 followers, and he wants everybody to see the 25 fish that he caught and kept in his live well illegally. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
here's the deal: is like normally the guy who posts that picture will hold up 5 fish that cumulatively might weigh like 13.5 pounds. So it's not like he did anything good. It's just he had to post it because it's like, Jim Bob and Jim Bob Coocher over here. It's like a couple rednecks in their bullet. And they got to drive faster than everybody on the lake, and they catch like 13 pounds. Like, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to stereotype everybody with one blanket statement. I'm putting that out there. That's the guy that takes that picture.
Yeah, for sure. And thumbnail was the word I was looking for whenever I was like, just so that you can get that thumbnail. So yeah. All right. So we've got that one. All right.
Just to note, if there is any visuals to this, yes, that is me and my dad holding 2 9-pounders. But here's the deal about those 9-pounders. Neither one was ever placed in a live well. What happened was we doubled up on 9-pounders. I went to net his and then netted mine, broke the net, and then had to hand line and like hand tangle in 2 9-pounders. And that is still one of the most epic shots I ever got with my dad. So there you go. I just want to put that out there for anybody that's like, well, you got that shot right behind you. No. That was a double up on 9-pounders. So that.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if it wasn't the case, it is still okay to look back and say, you know what? Yeah, that was stupid.
Yeah.
I did that all the time. And looking back, it was stupid.
I did it. I was an idiot. I'll admit it. I did it like we did it all the time. Was because I was uneducated. Then I was ignorant to the reality of and I think too, man, not to go down a rabbit hole because we will. Like, I think, too, we've moved into a different time in fishing. Like, there's so much pressure now. There's so many tournaments now that, like, things that we used to be able to get away with and not hurt fish, now you can't do that. And it's because, like, for the most part, like, most fish are being touched by humans 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 times in a year if they survive that long and are able to handle that much interaction. Whereas, dude, like 10 years ago, a fish might be caught once or twice, hell, in its lifetime. You know what I mean? And so I just think we've moved into a different era of pressure on fish. And there's a lot of people who disagree with me about that. A lot of like really smart people that I respect a whole bunch, but I also think that a lot of those people are looking at very biased data sets, and that too, we don't have enough data on it. And the people who are wanting to do the hard science to collect that data are being criticized because it doesn't fit with the narrative of pro bass fishing and keeping 5 fish and catch, weigh, release, and this whole stigma and almost cult-like following that catch, weigh, and release of everything has grown into over the past 30 years. That was a rabbit hole. That was my soapbox. I'm done. Let's keep going with start, bench, cut. So,
all right, let's do bass fishing podcasts. All right, so we've got Tackle Talk, Serious Angler, Bass Talk Live.
Okay, cut Serious Angler. Their podcast is terrible. Bailey makes a horrible podcast. I would never listen to it ever in my life. If you do, your ears will probably bleed. Your children will cry, and your dog will pass away unexpectedly from a heart attack. We're gonna start the Tackle Talk podcast because it's probably one of the best. It's probably the most popular fishing podcast out there right now. Like, bar none. Like, there's nobody else that's competing with the Tackle Talk podcast. They're just not. I mean, like, from an analytics standpoint, from just, what he's been able to do and grow that thing into is absolutely fascinating, even to me. And so we got to do that. And what was the last one?
Bass Talk Live.
Bass Talk Live. Bass Talk Live. Bass Talk Live. What's that one? I don't think I've ever heard that one.
So that was that one is what is his name? Pangrat.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess bench it so I can pull it out and listen to it sometime, because I've never consumed that show or that podcast much. But my thing is, I'm not super into pro fishing. And so, like, I'm just don't really ever care what pro fishermen are saying. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that it's the reality of it. And so I just don't pay attention to pro fishing a lot. And so I think that's just one that I may have listened to here, there, in between, and just like never really liked it or didn't really get my interest. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's not my cup of tea. Also, I don't listen to fishing podcasts much. Like, I'm more like a Joe Rogan and, that kind of podcast, dude. You know, I don't consume fishing media much either. Like that's a weird thing to say because like this is my job and I get to make fishing videos and podcasts for a living. But like I'm the dude who's over here. Like when I turn on YouTube, I'm watching like Bryson DeChambeau and stuff like that. And then like when I listen to a podcast, it's like Sean Ryan and Joe Rogan and you know, just trying to learn as much as I can, or I'm listening to an audiobook. I'm a big audiobook fanatic, like everything from science fiction to history to all kinds of stuff. So yeah, that's I guess that's my rating for those.
Heck yeah.
Now, just to reiterate, Serious Angler podcast sucks. But anyway, go on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So for me, Tackle Talk starts, Serious Angler bench, and Bass Talk Live gets cut. I will say I learned a lot about podcasting from Bass Talk Live.
Mm-hmm.
And because they were one of the kind of the first bass fishing podcast that I came across, at least. I don't know if they were like the actual first
Is
or
it
they
a
were
radio show first.
quite possibly.
I feel like
I
that maybe
feel like that is the case.
Yeah, like I don't know. I'd have to ask Matt. Like I would have to like hit him up and ask him the history because I know there was another dude that did it with him for a hot minute, right? And like that was kind of like the Bass Talk Live that I think I listened to was when that other dude was around, and then Matt took it over. Did the other guy? I don't want to say anything bad. Did the other guy die or something? Or?
No, I think he retired.
Okay.
What is his name? I don't remember his name.
Yeah. But he got sick or something, right? Like they did a fundraiser. He had a heart attack or something bad happened to him, right?
Now that I'm not sure about.
For some reason, I don't know why, not to go down a rabbit hole, but I'm like almost 90% sure something happened to him, like pretty serious, like serious injury or illness. And that's maybe why I thought he passed away, but maybe I must have got better. So he must not. Thank the Lord that there's nothing wrong with him. I'm just saying, like, I thought that, but yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. I feel very ignorant on the subject now.
I do too. Yeah. I'm going to have to like go look and like message you after this and be like, oh, well, he's not dead. He does own a small plot of land in Utah though. And owns a llama farm. But anyway, yeah.
All right. So let's talk bass fishing bycatch.
Okay.
So starting, benching, cutting fish that you accidentally catch whenever you're bass fishing.
Okay.
All right. So bowfin, catfish, and crappie.
So I've only caught one bowfin my whole entire life, and it was in Michigan, and I did it completely on purpose because I'd never caught one, and I wanted to say that I was caught a bowfin. So anytime I see a new fish swimming around, I got to try to catch it. I don't care what it is. It's like when I went to Florida and I was catching tilapia, cichlids, and then I caught something else that had human teeth. It was about 10 pounds and barely got into the kayak and almost took my finger off. So I did it. I said, I caught that thing.
Paku?
I think that's exactly what it was. Dude, it was wild. They were eating
human teeth. I was like, that's got to be it.
Yeah, dude, it was wild. It was in the St. Johns River, and I was throwing a wacky rig, and old boy goes, dink, and I go, zzz, and it zzz, and I was like, oh my word, what is this thing? And it gets up next to the kayak, and it's got human teeth, and it's going, and I was like, okay, like I don't like this. Anyway, so bowfin, I'm gonna have to start them. Well, let me tell you what I got to start them. That was one of the best frog blowups I've ever had in my whole entire life. That one bowfin I caught hit a frog harder than anything has ever hit a frog. And I boat flipped it into Benjamin Nowak's boat and got slime everywhere while he was screaming at me not to boat flip it into his boat and just made a total mess. And it was worth every second of him being angry at me after boat flipping that slimy thing into his boat. I'm going to bench the crappie because I want to have the crappie close by, right? Like you got to have the crappie close by for the simple fact that they taste good, they eat well, there's an abundance of them, and in my case, where I've only ever caught one bowfin, I want to be able to go to my backup real quick, which was my crappie. And then the last one was
catfish.
Yeah, catfish. Man, I caught a catfish punching the other day on Gunnersville. That was interesting. But cut them, man. They're slimy. They're nasty. They get snot all over your line. I mean, they do eat good, but all these lakes around here, they tell us not to eat them. So, I mean, to me, they circle when they fight. It's not a fun fight. Let's cut the catfish, man. Cut the catfish. Even though I do like eating a catfish every now and again, we're going to cut the catfish.
Okay. And that's perfectly fair.
Yeah.
I have a bit of a beef with crappie, so I'm cutting crappie.
Beefing with crappie.
I have caught so many crappie in my life. Never once have I caught a crappie on purpose.
Really?
I have spent days trying to catch a crappie and cannot do it on
I feel
purpose.
that. I
But
feel that.
whenever I go and go bass fishing, I catch crappie all the time,
Mhm.
and it drives me insane.
That's pretty good. Uh,
And I will say I do enjoy eating them,
yeah.
but I do not enjoy getting beat by them.
Yes.
Um, so by default, catfish gets benched. I will say catfish do have some aggressive strikes, and they can be fun.
Oh yeah.
I got on a bite one time on a creek where I was catching catfish on a popper, and
That's cool.
skipping a popper up under the laydowns or under the overhangs
Yeah.
and popping, and because I kept seeing stuff blow up under those things, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna slay the bass today on a popper. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And it was catfish.
That's
I
crazy.
caught 4 or 5 of them on a popper one day, and I was like, man, this is insane.
That's fun. That's really cool.
Um,
Yeah.
but the very first experience I had with a bowfin um, was whenever I was in high school, and I was fishing, and it blew up and ate the cork, not the bait that under the bobber. It ate the cork on top.
Hmm.
I was like, "What is that? I need to know everything about that, and I want one."
Yep.
Um, and spent quite a while after that trying to figure it out. And the first time I accidentally hooked one while bass fishing, I saw it come out from under this root ball, and it was this like almost 3 foot long tube just coming out. And whenever it got done with whatever it was doing,
Yeah.
you could not identify the spinner bait. Like
It's awesome.
the
That's,
wire was gone.
yes.
Like the skirt was shredded. I mean, it was disintegrated. And man, those things, the fight that they put up is so fun.
Awesome.
And there's just something special to me about catching stuff with teeth like that.
Oh yeah.
I love toothy critters.
Yep.
And so yeah, bowfin has always held a special place in my heart.
Oh
So
yeah. I dig
uh,
it. I dig it.
they start for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. What's next? Fall baits,
Ooh.
spinner bait, lipless crankbait, buzz bait.
Oh, buddy. We're gonna start that buzz bait, son. We'll start that buzz bait. That's what we're gonna do. It is what it is. All right. Listen. I mean, I'll throw that thing all day long for one blow up. I love a buzz bait bite. So we're gonna start that buzz bait. We're gonna bench the spinner bait. Because you always want to have spinner bait in your back pocket. It played for me the other day. We went and floated the river, couldn't get them to bite the bladed jig, couldn't get them to bite the buzz bait, pulled out the spinner bait, caught a 20-inch smallmouth. So, got to have the spinner bait with you at all times. Make sure it's in the back up there, and then we're gonna cut that lipless, man. Listen, I'm just not a big lipless guy, and I know I need to be. I mean, I've caught a bunch of fish on a lipless, but it's not like a confidence lure for me. And like my buddy Caleb, he'd probably be like trying to kill me right now, strangle me to death if he knew that, because like he's a lipless fiend. But like for me and how I fish and where I fish, man, like that small body, medium diving crankbait plays way bigger than a lipless does for me, And so I'm gonna cut it. But yeah, dude, that buzz bait. If you don't like a buzz bait bite, you're dead or you're stupid, or you're dead and you're stupid. I'm not really sure which one.
Yeah. So I'm my list is exactly the same there. I have no confidence in a lipless crankbait. I have caught fish on lipless. I've never caught a big fish on a lipless, but I have caught fish on a lipless. But the thing that annoys me the most about a lipless is the people who swear by them this time of year, because like they'll say, oh, you gotta throw a rattle trap this time of year. It's like, man, I don't I don't have much confidence in that. I've never done well. It's like, well, there's not a wrong way to fish it. You just fish it. or they'll say, "Here, tie this on and hold on."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
do I get to cast it?
Yeah. No, you sit there and look at it. The fish swim up and they grab it. Yeah, no. I've been in boats with dudes and they're like wrecking them on a lipless. I can't get one to bite it. I tie on a square bill. I start catching fish. I mean, I'm right there with you, dude. I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's the bait. I don't know what it is. But if it's got a bill on it, I'm good. If it doesn't, you know.
Yeah, agreed. All right, and fall techniques. This one's hard.
Okay.
This one is hard.
Okay.
Punching, frogging, cranking.
Buddy, listen now. Don't do me like that. All right. I mean, I can't be cutting none of those. Ain't a one of them I can cut. Ain't a one of them I can cut. Man, you hurt my soul tonight. Even the Lord don't like this question. Hot take. Okay, hot take. Real hot. Real. I mean, like hot. The hottest take you're probably gonna hear. I'm gonna cut frog fishing. Let me tell you why. Because here where I'm at in East Tennessee, our frog fishing ability, as far as like fall grass frog fishing, like where you're fishing matted vegetation, is about that big. Where I can fish a frog in open water all summer long, in the spring, into the fall, like around overhangs, under docks, doing all that kind of stuff, is about that big. And so, like frog fishing in the fall, like that traditional frog fishing in the fall that people think about, I have way more success fishing it open water and fishing. Like, I mean, I just put that Gunnersville video out. Even there, I'm on a lake where it's like you should be in a matted vegetation catching them on frog. And where do I catch them? Open water up on the bank. And so, like, that traditional fall frog fishing bite, just it doesn't play for me huge where I'm at. Now I have to go travel there. I have to travel to Gunnersville, Chickamauga, Nickajack to be able to get on that bite really good. Now, do I absolutely love it? And would I do it 365 days a year if I could? Absolutely. But we're going to cut it as far as like a fall fishing technique because I use it way more than a fall fishing technique. I'm going to bench the crankbait or cranking. And the reason I say that is because to me, again, just like the frog, we're talking about a narrow band right here. Late fall and then winter, spring. That's where all my cranking takes place. But there's this nice little winter, or late fall, early winter, shallow water crankbait, square bill-ish bite that we can get on. That's absolutely phenomenal. But it's hit or miss. It either happens or it doesn't. And you know, it is what it is. Now I'm gonna start punching. Because, buddy, if you don't like hearing that braid singing, playing that violin with that 7-Eleven heavy punching rod, again, you're either stupid or dead and stupid. I'm not really sure which one it is. And I mean, dude, that is one of the funnest bites. And as far as like a fall fishing technique and a time when that like only works around here is like that fall time, like right now, a little bit earlier, you know, like in October, all throughout November until it gets too cold and all the grass dies, dude. That is such a great way to go and catch giant fish out of the grass. And it's like a fall thing. That's when it happens, is in the fall. You get a big 1.5 ounce punching weight out, creature bait like a creature hog from Berkeley, and just go to swinging on them. And so I'm going to start punching because you got to love it.
That is absolutely it's funny. So for me, frogging, and I don't know if that's just my location or what. To me, frogging is not a fall technique.
Mm-hmm.
Frogging is a summer technique.
Mm-hmm.
So I also cut frogging.
Yeah.
As crazy as it sounds.
I know, dude. Yeah.
But I started crankbait or cranking because I cannot remember the last time I went bass fishing that I did not have a crankbait in the water at least 40% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I really like, that's my
bread and butter.
That's my bread and butter.
Yep.
And then so this year I started getting into punching.
Mm-hmm.
Last weekend, so what you were talking about, the bite, there's something special about a punching bite.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you.
I was punching last weekend, and I hit a spot. I was like, oh man, this is a spot. This is a spot. No, no. Oh man, he's not there. And I went and I switched hands and I went to adjust myself with my paddle.
Yeah.
And like, luckily I was in really thick vegetation
Yeah.
and in my kayak, so I was real low to the water. I literally had a fish pull the rod out of my hand.
Oh, dude.
I was not ready for it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
They will ring that bell, son. Like,
yes.
there is something that is one of the most violent bites. Like, I actually posted it on Instagram, and I got a video coming out. And I want to drop the video this weekend, but I've spent a couple days on Gunnersville and got on a really good punching bite. But I flip in there and you literally see the lines going through, and then like, dude, I'm not kidding you, 6 inches of slack gets knocked into the line almost so much that it almost loops around the reel. Like you can see it, like and loops back, and it's where that fish just, I mean, knocked the crap out of it, and I jack its face. It's awesome. But yeah, dude, that bite, it's addicting. It's like one of the best bites in bass fishing.
Absolutely. And being able to have that bite and still be able to like swing for the fences on the hook set.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, man.
Matt, son, it's so much fun.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, let's finish out with a faith related one.
Yeah.
So let's do gospel books from the Bible.
Gospel book, okay.
We've got John, Luke, and Mark.
John, Luke, and Mark. That's hard, bud. Can't cut a book of the Bible, bro. I mean, listen. I mean, it was one thing with frog fishing, but I don't know if we could be cutting a book of the Bible. Like we cut Enoch, but I don't know if that was a good idea or not. But here we are. What are we, the Catholic Church? That was a joke. Not really. Let's so John, Luke, or Mark. God, dude, there's such good stuff in every single one of them. I'm gonna cut Mark. I know that's rough. But we're gonna cut Mark. Simply because I've read the book of Mark quite a bit, and there's a lot of good stuff in the book of Mark. But like for some reason, like right now off the top of my head, I cannot like think of like something profound. I know there is something, obviously, that this, it's not what I mean. Like there's definitely something profound in the book of Mark, but it's just like one of those books. It's like right off the top of my head right now, I'm thinking like, what is a Mark verse that I could like, oh yeah, that's a good one. You know what I mean? Or like that's that. I think we're going to bench John, which still that feels weird. We've cut Mark, we've benched John. I don't think we should do either one of those to either one of those guys. But you know, here we are. Maybe Jesus had a lineup. Who knows? You know, I mean, I guess he did because Matthew was his favorite, right? So I mean, he did tell him that. He was like, "Listen, bro, you're my favorite. You're my starter." But yeah, we'll bench John, and which is crazy because of John 3:16 and 3:17. That's the thing, is like a lot of people are like John 3:16, and I'm like, what about John 3:17? 3:17 is just as good as 3:16. You got to get both of those together. And then, dude, I'm going to start Luke. I love the book of Luke, dude. That is a fire book. Like there's so much going on there. I mean, like, and the thing is you get the book of Luke and then you get the book of Acts, and like both of those, it's more narrative style. You know what I mean? And like, there's something about that book that always stands out to me because of the way that it's written. You know what I mean? Like, whereas as the rest of the Gospels are very broken up, like it's like Jesus did this thing, Jesus did this thing, Jesus did this thing, and you're like, okay, well, hold on a second, how many weeks apart were these two things? So it's like in one instance he's healing a woman, and then another instance he's fighting with the Pharisees about something. You know what I mean? Where Luke and Acts both are more of like it's more narrative, and it reads more like a true story. And I think that both of those books, when they work in tandem, dude, are just really cool books of the Bible. And I don't think that both people realize that both of those really were written in a very similar time, or written very close together, and that both of them play well together as far as like, you know, being a giant narrative. And I just love that. I love that I love Luke for that reason. And so it's a book that I've always enjoyed reading.
Absolutely. So I'm starting John because the John just it's got everything, but the main thing is um, it has the thesis statement of the Bible is what I call it in John 3:16.
Mm-hmm.
So like I gotta put that one in at the start in the starting lineup, and then Luke. I'm benching Luke because I do love I do love the the perspective of having Jesus' story told by someone who was not one of the 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, he was just a much better writer.
Mm-hmm.
So, as someone who loves books, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
And then for Mark, it's like you said, Mark is awesome,
Yes.
but there's nothing in Mark that is only in Mark. I
Yes.
don't think. I could be wrong on that. It's been a long time since I've really gone through and compared the gospels,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know that Mark has anything that is exclusive to Mark.
Yeah, I literally pulled up Bible.com real quick. I was just like skimming through Mark thinking like I need to go back and visit Mark because like now I'm thinking like, is there anything in there that, like I need to know? You know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, I mean, so it's like the beginning of so it's Jesus' public ministry in Galilee, from Galilee to Jerusalem, the last week nearing Jerusalem, the resurrection, and then the appearance in the ascension, which I mean, yeah, you get that with the other ones too. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting. I need to just go back and reread it just so that I can, I don't know, get a better feel for it. Maybe poor Mark was just uneventful. I mean, it was very eventful. I mean, it was the saving of the entire known universe, through the man who is Jesus. But maybe it was uneventful to me for some reason. I don't know. It's like saying Revelations is uneventful. I don't know if you can say, dude, that's the best part about the Bible. Is everybody's like, man, the Bible is just a dusty old book. No, dude, the Bible's got killing, it's got sex, it's got war, it's got death, it's got resurrection, it's got spirituality, it's got crazy beasts and beings that you've never heard of. I mean, dude, it's got everything that you want. Like, if you want to read a good story, just go pick a book in the Old Testament and start going through it, because you're going to run into a story that you're like, did that donkey just talk to that guy? Like, you're like, hold on just a second. Wait, hold up. Like, it's awesome.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, you start reading through the Old Testament, and you're like, hold up. He got so upset that they made fun of him for being bald that he called two bears down to just maul the children.
Yes. Yes. It's so
What
good.
kind of temper does this guy have?
It's epic, man. I'm telling you, dude. I love it. The Old Testament to me is like, it is just every time I read it, even stories I've read 1,000 times, I reread through it and I'm just like, man, King David gone and saw some woman naked on a I mean, like, think about this. Like, it ain't nobody talks about the Bible like this. I wish they would. But it's like King David sees a woman naked on a roof across from him and goes, I want that so bad that I'm willing to kill this lady's husband, one of my friends, in order to try to do that, and then does it. And then God still looks at him and goes, hey, you're a man after my own heart. And I'm sitting here going, okay, well, I'm doing pretty good then. Like, I think God loves me because I've not killed any man's wife that I saw her naked on her roof across the street. So we're doing good. We're doing pretty good right now.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're gonna head over to what's your favorite now.
Okay.
So we are going to get that started right after this. Few things ruin your day on the water as bad as losing gear. But with the retrieval devices for fishing rods, action cams, bow fishing bows, and more from Save Your Outdoors, you don't have to let dropping your stuff ruin your day because you can get it back. The pressure-sensitive filter keeps water from rain and quick dips in the water out, but it lets water in when your gear goes overboard to release a float attached to your gear by 60 feet of line so you can get it back. Go to SaveYourOutdoors.com to learn more and try some for yourself, and use promo code FNFP15 to save 15% on your order. That's SaveYourOutdoors.com and promo code FNFP15.
It's time for What's Your Favorite? Powered by Nakwa Adventure Gear. Power that fits in the palm of your hand.
All right. So, we are going to kind of fly this one by the seat of our pants and just kind of make a few.
That ain't a good idea with me, buddy, but go on. Go on.
Make a few up for what's your favorite tonight. We're not going to do a whole whatever it is, 8 or 9 that we typically do.
All right, so I got one. Who is your favorite presidential candidate? Go. No, I'm just kidding. We're not doing that. All right, go on. I'm sorry. I won't interrupt you.
I might just go ahead and just remove you off of the screen.
Let's see how fast we can get this podcast canceled. How about that? No, I'm just
there
kidding.
You go. I mean, we are a faith-based podcast. It got canceled a long time ago.
That's true. That's true. I mean, you can't even say the word Jesus anymore without somebody coming down on you. So anyway.
All right. What is your favorite Halloween candy?
Ooh, favorite Halloween candy. That's a good one. Dude, I'm a Reese's Cup guy. Like, I love just a good old-fashioned Reese's Cup. Now, that being said, Halloween, the Reese's pumpkin is superior to the normal cup, but the Reese's Christmas tree is superior to all Reese's products. And so the pumpkin, I guess, would be benched. The cup would be cut, but the tree would be started, to go back to the last segment. But I'm gonna say the Reese's pumpkin is my favorite Halloween candy because it comes out at Halloween, and it is just it's better than the normal cup.
Okay. So, fun fact, and this probably has something to do with why it's better. So my sister and my mom have a gluten allergy.
Okay.
So I happen to know that the holiday versions of Reese's are not gluten free, but the regular Reese's cup is. So that plays a part in why it's better.
Probably means there's some kind of preservative in there. It's going to give me cancer. So thanks for letting me think about that now, because I'm already weird and crunchy about what I eat. So that just made it worse. But anyway, thanks, Cam. Thanks.
Sorry.
It is probably
Here I
probably
go.
what makes it better. There's probably just a extra touch of some carcinogens in there that just great for you, buddy.
I
Oh,
was just thinking flour, but sure.
yeah, flour, carcinogens, whatever. It's all the same thing. I mean, in today's world, it is. Like, you get online, you WebMD. Hey, why do I have this cramp in my side? Oh, you're dying of cancer. I was like, oh, okay. Well, then there you go. But anyway, yeah.
You remember sorry, we're going to go down a rabbit hole. You remember the Jeff Foxworthy sketch where he's talking about his wife. His wife can't watch the medical commercials because every single one of them, she's like,
I have that. Yeah.
I have it.
Yeah.
And he's like, you do not have testicular cancer.
Yeah. Yes.
You don't even have testiculars.
Yeah. I got a buddy named Michael, and he's a hypochondriac. And dude, literally, he will work himself up. Like true hypochondriac, like not like, oh, he just washes his hand. Like, he will work himself into a panic attack, a full-blown panic attack, watching medical commercials. And like, he called one day, he's like, dude, I got leukemia. And I'm like, bro, you ain't got no leukemia. He's like, no, I got leukemia. I'm like, how do you know you got leukemia? He's like, well, my left thigh itches and my elbow's kind of hurting, and I Googled it and it said it's leukemia. And I'm like, dude, you ain't got leukemia. Like, just calm off of it. Like, yeah, no, that's good stuff. I love that. You ain't even got testiculars. I got to rewatch that one. That's a good comedy special. You got me wanting to watch that comedy special now. I'm gonna read the book of Mark and watch a comedy special. That's what this whole episode is going to result in.
There you go. I will say, so for me, my favorite Halloween candy is the Haribo twin snakes.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with those. They have one they're two gummy snakes that are connected.
Yeah.
One of them is sweet and one of them is super sour.
Yeah. No, those are good. I like those. Yeah.
That's my jam right there.
I love it.
So we talked a lot about, kind of fall stuff in terms of fishing. What's your favorite part of fall to fish? So in terms of like the fall transition, like transitioning from like summer to fall, like what would be considered fall, and then like the transition between fall and winter. What's your favorite of those?
So right now, and this is kind of unique to me, but if you live on a TVA lake or any lake that's controlled by a dam, and you have rivers that you're able to go and float and fish, like right now is the time because we're having these big drawdowns, and so they draw these lakes down all fall long to get them ready for winter. Because in the winter, East Tennessee, Western North Carolina, obviously, I mean, we've seen with these floods, we can get a lot of rain, and that's the reason the TVA system was designed. Now, it was never designed to take hurricanes. It actually was designed to take hurricanes and I think an earthquake up to like 8.0 or something like that. So obviously it worked enough that it didn't fail, right? But that's the reason all these dams were designed, is because in the winter, where we live and where I live in this part of the country is considered a deciduous rainforest. So we literally get a ton of rain. So they draw these lakes down. But right now, we're getting almost no rain because it's fall. And usually our falls are very dry and very mild. And so with these lakes being pulled down, with it being very dry and very mild, we've got like 55 to 65-degree river temperatures, and we've got smallmouth that hate every single thing that you put in front of their face, and they want to try to kill it. And so like right now is my favorite time because that fall river, and then tomorrow I'm going creek fishing. That fall river and creek bite is on right now. And it's just getting better and better and better. And the thing is we got a limited amount of time, because once we have that first hard frost, it all kind of just, and it's done. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is about it, but it's like they just kind of are done. And then you got to start doing that transition from fall to winter. And everybody, the transition can be hard because fish don't like change. They're just like us. When things change, they kind of shut down. But I like figuring out that puzzle as well. But I'd have to say right now is my favorite time. It's just that it's that fall drawdown on the TVA lakes, especially these highland reservoirs, which feed these rivers, feed these creeks, and it makes these fish angry and want to bite things like buzz baits and slobber knockers and spinner baits, and you just can't be mad at it.
For sure. And it's been an interesting year in terms of that so far, because I don't know about where you are in Tennessee, but for our part of the country, for the most part, I think we've gotten an eighth of an inch in the past month and a half of rain.
Yep.
Like, it has been dry.
Yes.
Which
Outside
has
of
made
that
for
hurricane, like literally, like we had like an 8-week drought, had that hurricane, and then just immediately went back into the drought. And it rained today, but it wasn't like a soaking rain. It was just like one of those dreary rains that gets everything wet, but like then it's supposed to be dry for the rest of the week again. And so yeah, dude, we're like way behind on the water that we need.
It's made for some really pretty leaves, though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, these trees are popping around here. Like I was like, man, I feel like I live in Michigan. I was like, this is awesome. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we are gonna go ahead and wrap things up. If we have anybody who's listening and this is the first time they've heard from you, kind of let them know where to find you. Give a shout out to whoever you want to give shout outs to, sponsors, supporters, all that good stuff. And then kind of give us a little idea of what's coming up for you.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, no. So anybody wants to check me out, it's Alex Rudd Fishing, Alex Rudd, RUDD on everything. You Google my name and I'll pop up. Got the YouTube channel, the podcast, Instagram, TikTok, the whole nine. We have a bunch of fun. Go out there, go fishing, go on adventures and that kind of stuff. But for what I've got coming up, I got some Gunnersville videos about to drop. I got a really cool river fishing video about to drop. I want to go fish a crazy creek tomorrow that I've never fished, go explore somewhere brand new, see what kind of trouble we can get into. But got a really cool trip planned in December, and I'm very excited to share it with everybody. I don't want to give away all the details just yet, but we are going outside the country to catch some bass. And so it'll be a fun trip. Going to have us a good time, and I don't know. I can't wait. I'll say this much about the trip. The trip that I'm going on, we talked to the person who runs the place that we're going to, and he said the fishing report from last year at the time that we're going this year, he said that they sent out 12 boats and each boat averaged 40 pounds a day for their best 5 and averaged 150 fish a boat.
Good gracious.
Yes. So, gonna be a good time. I got a feeling.
Awesome. And all right. Well, yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. It is always a blast to have you on. And it is always fun to chase some stuff down rabbit holes with you, man.
Oh yeah, dude. No, I enjoy it, but I appreciate you for letting me come on. You guys got a fun show, and like I tell everybody, anytime you want me to come on a podcast, you just got to hit me up because I love to talk, as everybody has probably noticed from this podcast. And so I'm down for it anytime. But nobody, I appreciate you, man. I really appreciate the show and appreciate everybody listening.
Absolutely. Take care, man.
All right, buddy. See you later.
Omnia Fishing is an online fishing retail store that has everything you need for your next outing. Whether you need tackle, rods, reels, fishing reports and tips, or even weather reports and topographical maps. With their ambassador program, you have the opportunity to buy baits and gear proven to work in your fishing spots, or submit your own fishing reports and get Omnia credit when someone buys something from your report. Upgrade your membership to Premium for free shipping and a percentage of your purchases back, or upgrade to Premium Pro to get Navionics, weather, and more on their already awesome app. Go to omniafishing.com and use promo code FNF10 for 10% off your purchase. Or if it's your first time making a purchase from Omnia, use promo code FNF15 for 15% off instead. If finesse fishing is your comfort zone, something you want to learn better this year, or just something you like to tie on as a Hail Mary pass, Jade's Jigs has everything you need and more, and it's all eco-friendly and lead-free. With an awesome selection of baits and colors, they've got a variety of techniques covered for you. Finesse jigs, underspins, Nico weights, Ned rigs, and more are all waiting for you at jadesjigs.com. And while you're there, use promo code FNF10 for 10% off your purchase. That's jadesjigs.com and promo code FNF10 for 10% off. All right, another huge thank you to Alex for coming on the show and having some fun with us, talking cryptids and some other fun stuff. I'll leave all of his links in the show notes for you so that you can find him and subscribe and all that good stuff so you don't miss any of his content. I am going to pray and then we'll close it out. God, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to come together, have some fun, talk about some crazy things, talk about you, talk about fishing, and just kind of share our passions with one another, and just build relationships and give the listener something to really enjoy as well. Pray for the listener, no matter where they are right now. Pray that you are meeting them and giving them what they need through this podcast, and pray that you put on a show in their lives and put on a show in and through this podcast and in and through Alex. Thank you for Alex and what he means to so many and what he does with his platform. And pray that you continue to bless this podcast and bless the listener and bless Alex. God, we thank you, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, that's going to do it for this episode, y'all. Y'all take care, and God bless.
Thank you for listening to the Faith and Fishing podcast. Please consider supporting those that support us. Jade's Jigs lead-free finesse tackle. Use promo code FNF10 at jadesjigs.com for 10% off. Save your outdoors. Stop losing your gear. Use promo code FNFP15. SaveYourOutdoors.com for 15% off. Omnia Fishing. Check out Premium, Premium Pro, and their Ambassador program. Use promo code FNF10 for 10% off at OmniaFishing.com. And if it's your first order, use promo code FNF15 for 15% instead. Mr. B Lure Company. High-quality handmade baits made right here in the U.S. MrBLureCompany.com. Use promo code faithnfishn for 15% off your first purchase. Get outdoors, pedal, and paddle. Check them out at the shop in Greensboro, North Carolina, or at shopgetoutdoors.com for all your paddling and cycling needs. And Naqua Adventure Gear, lighting, power, and all the connectors at Naqua.com. Please rate, review, subscribe on whatever app you're listening on. That's going to do it for this episode. Y'all take care and God bless.